Need some last-minute spooky Halloween-themed food for a lunchbox or party? I've got you covered this week on Pack, Eat, Repeat. The first Halloween-themed food idea are these pumpkin pockets. You'll need refrigerated pie crust, although I do think that after I tried this, it might be a little bit better with puff pastry or even some crescent roll dough. You can try it with either. They would both be super quick. You're going to open up your dough, and then I'm using a pumpkin for this today, but I also used a cookie cutter shaped like a sugar skull, which came out really cute as well. Now you're going to want to make an even number of cutouts, and I had one extra, so I'll probably just save that for later. And on half of your cutouts, you're going to cut little triangles to make the eyes and the nose of your pumpkin. Next, you're going to grab your filling. Today I'm making lunch for my daughter, so I'm going with a savory option. I'm going to put ham and some barbecue sauce. The recipe also called for cheese, but my child is being super weird about cheese right now, so I'll just leave that part out. I did also make these later in the week using Nutella and peanut butter, and that was delicious. So you can use meat and cheese or a sweet filling if you'd like. You're just going to fill it up and then take your egg that you've beaten and just apply it all the way around the edges. This will help the two pieces of pie crust stick together after they're baked. Now you're going to lay your jack-o'-lantern face on top and just make sure those edges are sealed nice and tight. Next, you're going to take your egg and just spread it right on top of your jack-o'-lantern. This will give it a nice gloss after it's finished baking. That's it. Took me 5 minutes to assemble. Now I have this little extra one over here, so I'm just going to make a little treat for myself. I'm going to put the egg wash on, but then I'm going to put a little mixture of cinnamon and sugar on top. This will basically taste like a little cookie, and that way this piece of pie crust won't go to waste. And that's it. I'm going to put these in the oven per the instructions on the box. My box said 10 to 12 minutes, and they come out looking like this. Now, I thought these were very good, but they were a bit dry, so next time I think I'll use crescent roll dough. My next Halloween-themed food idea are these slimy worm sandwiches. I'm going to grab a pack of hot dogs. And this is a super creepy Halloween treat for me because I hate hot dogs and my kids love them. So I am grossing myself out right now making these for my kids who will have a huge smile on their face. So I guess it's worth it, but I don't know. I'm going to cut the hot dogs lengthwise into about 8 pieces. Now I'm going to take my pieces and just fry them up in a pan. I did put a little bit of oil on there, but you don't have to. As they cook, they'll kind of shrivel up and look like little worms. Now I'm going to add some ketchup and some barbecue sauce. You can use one or the other if you prefer one over the other. And now I'm just going to mix them up to make them nice and slimy. Now I'm going to get my bun and put all my ooey gooey slimy worms right on top. And I'm going to put one little worm coming out of the front. And there we have it, a slimy worm sandwich, 5 minutes or less. Our next Halloween themed food is eyeball bark. Now my kids helped me make these, so you'll see their little hands in a minute. You want to grab some chocolate and then really any kind of sweets you have in the house that you like to eat with chocolate. So I just grabbed all the sweets, including these little sprinkles that had spiders in them, some eyeballs, and I'm going to melt my chocolate. Now, I had these chocolate chips because they were on sale before, so I'm just going to use these. But if you want it to be nice and shiny and have a nice gloss, you can use candy melts. They are a little bit more expensive, but they come out looking really nice. Now I'm going to get everything ready. And here's my chocolate. I put it in the microwave for 10-second intervals, mixing in between, and it took me probably about 5 rounds of that to get it nice and melted. I'm going to turn it out onto some parchment paper. My kids were having a really hard time not eating this chocolate, but they did really well. Next, I'm going to use my white chocolate to make a little spider web pattern. So I'm going to start out with some swirls. And then I have this cake tester, but you can really just use a knife if that's what you have. Start at the middle and pull a line outwards. After you have your spider webs created, you can go crazy putting on all your toppings. I do plan to send this with my daughter for her treat at lunch one day, so I didn't put any nuts in there, but you can also add nuts, pretzels, salty things that would really make this taste amazing. Now I wanted mine to be eyeball themed, so I'm putting a ton of eyeballs all over mine. My children went with the strategy of putting every piece of candy humanly possible on their chocolate, and I think they came out looking pretty tasty. So just decorate it up, and then you're going to either leave it out on the table or you can pop it in the fridge for 15 to 20 minutes. And it'll come out nice and hard. So after it's hardened, you can just take your bark and start to break it up into small pieces. And that's it, a last minute Halloween treat that took about 10 minutes to assemble and a little bit to chill. Our next Halloween themed food idea is spaghetti and eyeballs with a bonus recipe for meatball brains. So I'm going to start with the string cheese because I have a ton of it because I bought it for my daughter's lunch and she decided she doesn't like string cheese anymore. So I'm going to use this because I'm using mini meatballs for this recipe. But if you're using regular size meatballs, you might want to go get some mozzarella balls that are a little bit bigger than the string cheese. Now we had spaghetti with red sauce already made, so I'm going to take that and then put these little mini meatballs right on top. Next, I'm going to take my sliced up mozzarella stick and place it on top of my meatballs. Now, I'm making this for my daughter's lunch, so I'm not using anything to hold them together. If you're really worried about it, you can put a food pick in there. Just make sure and tell your guests that they're in there. Now I'm going to put an olive right on top, and there we have our eyeballs. I had a few meatballs left over, so I'm going to make something else with them. I'm going to take these Hawaiian rolls and just cut a little hole right in top. Next, I'm going to put some cheese right in the middle because, well, melted cheese makes everything taste better. I'm going to take my meatballs and just put a little bit of red sauce right on top. You could also use barbecue sauce or ketchup for this if you'd like. Mix it together and make sure it's nice and slimy. Then I'm going to put my rolls in the microwave for a few minutes, or you can put them in the oven. We just want to melt that cheese. And then we pop our meatball brains right on top. Next, I'm going to take my olives and I didn't have any picks readily available, but I did have these lollipop sticks, and I tried to cut them and they were shooting everywhere. So next time, maybe I'll just get some picks to make these. But I'm going to take my olives, and I'm just using this stick to make sure that they stay in there. These white sticks did have the added bonus of kind of looking like the inside of an eye, so that was nice. And that's it, meatball brains. This one tasted really good. Our next last-minute Halloween-themed food idea is mummy pizza. I wanted to make this again to use up that string cheese, so I'm going to use ready-made pizza dough to make this a little quicker. And I'm cutting out little circles because I need this to fit into my daughter's lunchbox and I want it to stay warm, so I'm going to put it in her thermos. But if you're making this at home, you can just use the whole pizza dough or even bagels or anything quick like that. Now I'm going to spread some red sauce right on top. And here's that string cheese that I need to use up. So I'm going to pull off a few pieces into strips and cut it to size. Next, I'm going to grab my olives so I can make my little mummy eyes. Then I'm just going to take strips of string cheese and make the mummy's bandages all over his face. This took me about 5 to 7 minutes to put together. Now I'm going to stick them in the oven just for about 5 minutes. I want the cheese to be melted but still hold its shape so that it looks like bandages. And it's done! Mummy pizzas! And that's it. 5 super simple, super quick, last-minute Halloween-themed food ideas for your lunchbox or party. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and tell me down below in the comments if you made one of them and how these came out. If you need some Halloween-themed food ideas that are slightly less creepy for your little monster, check out last week's video that included some fruity sugar skulls and pumpkin pretzels. They were delicious. Also, if you want to see how I incorporated these foods into my daughter's lunchbox, be on the lookout because that video will drop this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.